Welcome, friends, to chapel today, which is hosted by the Latinx Caucus. And today's chapel, as most of you know, is an observance of Dia de los Muertos. And what we'll do today is not only remember our ancestors, those who have passed on from the way that we experience life to whatever comes next, but also celebrate them and recognize that they continue to be present with us, and to remember that they enjoyed life just as we enjoy life. And that flawed as they are, or flawed as they were, that we really can only understand ourselves by looking back at them. We can really only understand where we're going by remembering those who came before us. And so we're going to bring them into this space, and I'll give you a little orientation now about how we'll do that. So there's a few different things going on. First, we have this altar here where if you've brought some kind of object to commemorate your ancestor, your friend, that being or person who made an impact on your life, you can bring it up here to the altar and set it somewhere where you find some room. Additionally, if you feel moved and you want to come up to the microphone and tell us a little bit about them, what's the object that you're bringing to them? What is it that they enjoyed in life that you're kind of offering back to them now? Feel free to do that. There's no pressure to speak, but if you want to bring them into the room in that way, you're invited to do so. If you haven't brought anything, that's completely okay. Here in the center, you'll find some pan de los muertos, some bread of the dead, that you could grab. There's napkins next to it. You could grab that and come up and leave it on the altar. There's already some bread situated here. You could put it next to it or wherever, really. And also on this table, there are cards and pieces of paper with markers, pencils, that kind of thing, where you can write them a note. What would you like to say to them today? Or maybe write their name, or maybe create some kind of visual art that represents them or that speaks to them or that connects you to them in this moment and in this space. And so while you're doing that, Tyrone will be playing piano, so there's no sort of like pressure for you to do it at any given time. Just take your time, come up to the middle, come up to the altar after you've written your card, and then come up to the microphone when you're ready. So we'll just sort of move organically through that time, and then I'll bring us to a close in about 20 minutes or so. Tyrone will stop playing if you come up to the microphone, but if you want him to keep playing, just give him a little nod or whatever. Sometimes it's easier and more comfortable to kind of speak off the cuff if there's music helping to back you up. So otherwise, Tyrone will give you some space and some silence to talk through or to share with us whatever it is you want to share. Okay. So with that, I'm going to try to get us started. I brought a couple of things. The first one is this bottle of rum. To remember my dead friends, Jeremy and Rob, who both died in car accidents when I was a freshman in college. And I'm putting this bottle up here because I learned to party with Jeremy and Rob. They taught me how to party. The second thing is this pencil that I'm bringing to commemorate my grandpa, who was a pastor, preacher, author, baker, and I grew up with my grandpa. He essentially raised me, and I have so many memories of walking into his study, and he'd just be sitting there writing his sermon. That was the routine. I'd walk in, he'd be writing, and then he'd look up, and I'd be like, hey, I need a ride. I need some ice cream. I need this or that. So I don't know if he wants a break from writing at this point, but in any case, I brought him a pencil just in case he's still up to that now.
I brought a picture of my dad. I only have 2 pictures of my father because I lost him when I was young. And it's the only picture I have of him by himself. And it's the only way that I can remember what his face looks like because I lost him so young. And while I can't remember his voice, I remember how it felt when I would lay my head on his chest. A deep rumble. Thank you. A deep rumble. And it made me feel safe. So, to Junior.
I want to lift up my grandmother, Alba Iris Espada, daughter of Sara, a woman of prayer, a woman who was a woman of very few words, but she was a seer, she was a prophet. She taught me a lot about being attuned to the things of God, to the holy. So I just want to lift her up and make her memory be a blessing.
Brought a picture of my little ratty white one-eyed dog that died earlier this year. His name was Patch. He's a Shih Tzu, so a Shih Tzu poodle. And I brought him because I've never seen my parents' face light up so much as when he was around. And you know, our parents love the rattiest little white dog, so that's Patch. And then I also brought a card for my grandfather Tito and my grandmother Moki. And both of them, as their minds went as they got older, they still memorized a ton of scripture, and that would be like the vehicle for conversation. And I know they'd be ecstatic and surprised to see me here.
I brought my grandfather's bolo tie. It reminds me of him and of my entire family's connection to the land in Texas. My grandparents were the ones who taught me how to make ofrendas and to remember our dead. They're all passed now, and I'm sad but also honored to continue the tradition. I also wrote down on this card my parents' dog's name, who just passed 2 days ago. In Mexican culture, which is my family's culture, dogs represent guides between the spiritual realm and earth that help our ancestors find their way back to us on Dia de los Muertos. So I hope he had enough time in training to figure that out for tomorrow.
I brought a poem that I wrote about my grandma, my mom's mom. Her name was Beverly. And what I wrote on the card was, "I miss you, goofy lady," because she was just such a caricature of this silly. You'll see in the poem, but I have a voicemail from her. It's actually my oldest saved voicemail that I've just never deleted, and it's just kind of somehow stayed. So I'll read the voicemail, and then I'll read the poem. And the poem's called My Oldest Saved Voice Message. "Hi, Lauren. I was wondering if that was you who called me a few minutes ago. I'm curious what you wanted. Well, if you get a chance, call me again. I'm right here. My grandma wore Hawaiian muumuus and a sun visor always, a pastel floral wisp against wood-paneled walls. She'd pick me up from dance in a white Toyota that would later be mine, a pillow on the bench with a cross-stitched phrase I can't remember now. I'd tuck my face in my shoulder, swell of salted smoke around me, a long, thin cigarette out half-open window. I drove that Camry till the body rusted out, followed her to the scrapyard on the bed of a truck, and cried. Her voice stows away in my mom's inflection, the way their tongue lingers on the L of my name. I play them on repeat. I'm right here. I'm right here."
name's Jasmine, and I wanted to uplift my grandmother. Her name is Luz Maria Camacho Torres, and she was a Jibara, a farmer in Penuelas in Puerto Rico, in Borican, and really like a devout Catholic. And she actually passed away during the Eucharist in the days like December 18th, so going to 5:45 a.m. morning mass. It was time where the priests were calling everyone up, and she couldn't get up. And my grandpa was like partially blind, and he asked the priest to come over, Father Miguel, who was my priest growing up as well. And he told us that when he got there, he gave her the body of Christ, and like in the same moment, she had a stroke. And he could like see it happening. And before that, I was like hella an atheist. And after that, I feel like that kind of unlocked my path of wanting to come to seminary and be in service to the land and the earth and community. And also, I want to uplift my grandpa, who was also a Jibaro, Julio Cesar Torres Irizarry. And from my other side of the family, my 3 uncles who passed away in the past 3 years, Frankie Calderon and Alberto Calderon and Antonio Calderon, and their younger brother who passed away when he was 4, Richard Calderon. And my grandma's still alive and has witnessed 4 of her 5 sons go. So yeah, I want to offer their names to the altar and bread to them.
I have a picture of my dad who passed away almost 2 years ago. I didn't get to get it for him, but he's smoking a cigarette in this photo. I don't know much about him, but he did really like cigarettes and liquor, so that's what I would get for him. And my hope is that he gets to enjoy a ton of it now without it harming him or anyone else. And this will be for my grandparents who passed away a little over a year ago, 1 week apart from each other. They really liked bread and many things. They were super excitable. Yeah, they just loved a lot.
We have some time left, so if you are still finding that you want to bring someone into the room, I invite you to come up and speak their name or tell us about them. And also, if there are others that you're remembering as you're sitting here listening to stories and names, and you just want to bring another piece of bread up for them, I invite you to do that in the next few minutes. And then I'll close us out in about 6 or 7 minutes.
This offering's for my primo, Tony, who died just before school started for the year here. And his was a very sudden death. He's a little bit older than me, but he was like an older brother. Him and I, for many years, we were the only two family members who lived outside of New York City. We lived in Boston area, and the two of us would always be the last two to find out anything about what was going on in the family. And in the end, he's now going to be the person in the family who will be the last one to find out that I'd even gotten into seminary. Which is really sad because actually he had gone, at one point he wanted to become a minister, and the two of us had been talking about religions around the world for such a long time. And I was looking forward to telling him, and then before I ever had a chance, he was gone. And it's one of those things where it's like forgetting to seize the moment and letting them know has been hard. So yeah,
I'm here in memory of my father, who died 3 years ago, and he was a constant in my life, even though I didn't know him really that well. I knew that he loved me. And I'm also offering this bread for other people whose memory abide in me strongly: Magnolia, Ibrahim, and Kenneth.
My offering is for 2 people. My mother-in-law, Gloria, who was the first person that I ever gave last rites to as a young seminarian in the before times, and really shaped the way that I show up as chaplain. And my late partner, who passed away in February of last year. Who held medicine in the Hopi tradition, who was a beloved mother and a co-parent to her kids, who was a very gifted doctor who was a resident at Elmhurst during the lockdowns, got COVID numerous times, and still ran towards the work. She had planned to move to Minot, North Dakota, to get out of the city, to slow down, and to take a breath. She loved transplant medicine, Burning Man, drum and bass shows, mushrooms and DMT. Te extraño siempre.
On the week that my friend Rob died, he called left a voicemail, and I didn't get the chance to call him back, and I think about that a lot. Several years later, I was standing in my kitchen next to the kitchen island, remembering that my grandpa loved to bake. And I put my hand on the island and felt something I had never felt before, that he was right there with me. And so we go through this process to remind ourselves that even as death changes the mode of contact with those who have come before us, we're still in contact with them. And so to Santos Figueroa, who loved to bake bread. Thank you all for your sharing, for bringing these important people, these living beings back into the room, back into our bodies, back into our memories and minds. And usually, you'd eat that bread at the end of the day after it's set on the altar, but we'll do it a little differently. You can just come up here and take the bread and enjoy it. There's also bread here. Take some home with you if you'd like. But thank you so much for being here, for being present, for being open to that contact.
Hello, my name is Safia. I thought to share a blessing by one of my favorite chaplains before we all go. And also remember everyone from my family who passed away, and I was not there to mourn them. Blessed are we who feel the wound of a fresh loss, or of a loss, no matter how fresh it was, that still makes our voice crack all these years later. We who are struck in the impossibility of it, frozen in disbelief. How can this be? It was supposed to be this way. Blessed are we, fumbling around for easy answers or quick truths to try to make things go down easier. We who are dissatisfied with the shallow theology and trite platitudes. Blessed are we who instead demand a blessing because we have wrestled with God and we are here, wounded, broken, changed. Blessed are we who keep our relationships and friendships and jobs afloat, and who stock the pantry, because what choice do we have but to move forward with the life we didn't choose, with a loss we thought we couldn't live without, one small step, one small act of hope at a time. Thank you.